Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Code Red, and welcome to the third part on how to make a map in Rocket League. In the last part, we created our first map with all of the correct collision meshes for our first Rocket League standard map. In this tutorial, I'm going to be expanding on the map that we created in the last part and show you how to add spawns, goals, and boost pads to our map. So let's get started. First, let's open up UDK, which you can find by simply searching on your computer for UDK and click and open UDK Editor. Then wait for it to open, and when it's done, just click Start Editing Existing Map and open up whichever file you named your map as in the last tutorial. In this case, it's tutorial.udk for me. And then you're going to want to, make sure that your map is in fact the last one in the tutorial. If you haven't seen those tutorials, a link will be to them in the description and in the info card in the top right. Now, let's get into adding spawn points to our map. To do that, let's look at this window right here and go to Actor Classes, the Actor Classes tab here, and we're going to want to search _TA, which will contain basically all of the Rocket League specific classes that we downloaded back in episode 1. And in this list of Rocket League assets, we're going to want to drag in Pylon Soccer _TA. Now, you might be wondering, what is this? I thought we were adding spawn points, and don't worry, we are. This is like a manager for really all of the stuff in our map, including spawn points. As you can see, if you right click and click properties, you can see a lot of different map related settings, including your goals, the ground Z coordinate, as well as a list of all the boost pads and field center and all this other stuff. The main stuff that you're going to want to look at is field center, which basically specifies the coordinates on our map that the ball will spawn at. Now, because our map is created like a normal standard Rocket League map, the center of our map is in fact coordinate 000, and that's also where the ball will spawn. So we can leave that the same. However, we will probably want to change ground Z to something, I don't know, really low, like -2000. To my knowledge, the only difference this makes is how far the camera will follow you. And we want the camera to follow you all the time, no matter what height you're at. So just make it some point below the map. And then from there, we're going to want to actually add our spawn points so that we can link them up with Pylon Soccer _TA. As you can see, we already have a spawn point, but it's just a normal player spawn and not a player spawn _TA. So we're going to want to delete that real quick. I'm not actually sure if it makes much of a difference whether or not it's the _TA version or not, but just to be safe, use the player start _TA. So drag that in, and then right click and click properties, and you can see some various properties, most of which we don't have to mess with. One of which is somewhat important, which is primary start, but we're going to want to leave that one on. And the main thing we're going to want to do is, of course, place our player spawns in the correct positions. On screen will be all the various positions we need to place our spawns at if you want to create a normal standard Rocket League map. If you need to pause, that's fine. These are the coordinates. You'll need to put the normal player spawns on your map right here. These last few right here, as you can see, I uncheck primary start for these. These spawns, because they don't have primary start enabled, are demo spawns. So you only spawn there if you get demoed. So that's something to keep in mind. Like I said, this is only if you're making a standard Rocket League map. If you're not making a standard Rocket League map, just place them wherever, and just remember that a primary start means a normal player spawn, and if you uncheck it, that means it's a demolition spawn. Now that we've added in all the spawn points, make sure to check destination only for all of them. I'm not sure if this makes too much of a difference, but, better to check it than to leave it unchecked. So, now you might be wondering, why am I only placing them on one side of the field? Well, what's interesting is if you place the spawn points for the blue team and put them in the Pylon Soccer _TA, which we're going to do right now, just by selecting all of them with control, and then you just need to add them to the list like so. So select them all like so, and click the green arrow while having them all selected. If you're wondering how I kept the properties window open for the pylonsoccer_TA window, you have to click the little lock in the top right here, and that will keep the window open even while you're selecting other stuff. So keep that open, select them all, and then click the green arrow. So what's cool is by just doing the blue team's spawn points and assigning them in pylonsoccer_TA, it will basically take care of the orange team spawn points automatically. It will assume that you're playing with a normal standard Rocket League map, and whenever you spawn on the orange team, it will simply invert the spawns on the blue team, which means we don't have to add the orange team spawns ourselves, at least when we're making a standard Rocket League map. You see, if you want your spawn points to be in other locations, then you can do them manually. It's pretty easy. If you remember, inside of the spawn point, you can change the team number. By default, it's 0, which means blue team, and if you change it to 1, then that means orange team. So that's how you'd make orange team spawn points. So now that we have the spawn points all set up in pylonsoccer_TA, let's make the goals. To make the goals, we have to use the brush, or the CSG brush. It's this little red outlined, crazy looking object over here. Obviously, we don't want our goal to be shaped like that, so we're going to want to click the cube brush over in near the top left, and you can right click that and you can get some extra settings. The X, Y, and Z should be set to 2000, 1000, 1000, just like this. And you'll get this rectangular shaped box, which you will now move over to the goal and roughly align it like so. Because, in case you don't understand what's going on here, this box is basically the area in which the ball needs to be inside in order for a goal to be counted. So what you need to make sure is that the entire space inside of the goal cavity needs to be contained within this box. But you also need to make sure the box doesn't stick out the front too much, or else the ball might be able to get scored on a little earlier than it should. So to do that, you're going to want to look at it left and right like this and align it best you can. To test it out and align it a little bit better, you can, on the left side, click CSG Add to get a little visual of the actual box itself instead of just the wireframe look, and you can more easily tell whether or not it's sticking out that way. So just align it like so. You know, you can be as precise as you would like. It doesn't really matter. And then once you're done with that, you're going to want to click Add Volume and add Goal Volume _TA. Now this will create the actual volume itself, but as you can see, if we move the CSG brush, it's not there. That's because it's invisible, and the only way you can find it is by going over to the inspector window here and going over to the scene tab, and you'll see it is called Goal Volume _TA. So you want to select that in this menu, and then it will select in the scene just like so. And then you can right click and go to Properties, and then you can see a whole bunch of goal-related settings, including the goal orientation, the team number, and some other various settings. The most important ones are the team number, just like the spawn points. 0 is blue team, 1 is orange team. And the goal orientation is a reference to a node, which basically tells the goal which way it should be facing. To create that goal orientation node, you're first going to want to lock the goal volume _TA properties window by clicking this lock icon right here, and then right click anywhere in the scene and go to Add Actor Path Node. Then after adding the path node, you're going to want to position it so that its X coordinate is 0, and I don't think the Y and Z matter too much. And then you're going to want to make sure that the yaw is 90, which is the rotation, so that the path node is facing away from the goal. So like outwards, away from the goal. Then after setting its rotation, you're going to want to keep selecting the path node in the scene, and you're going to want to click the green arrow over goal orientation. This is a key setting because without setting the goal orientation, the game will crash when you score a goal. And that's because the goal orientation is what's used in order to tell which way a goal explosion should be oriented when you score a goal. Without the goal orientation, it doesn't know which way it should face the goal explosion. So anyway, after doing that, you can close the property window, and you're going to want to move the brush over to the other side and basically repeat the whole process. Align it properly in and out. You can use the CSG brush if you want, and then you're going to want to add volume, add goal volume _TA. Go back into the scene view and click the goal volume _TA underscore 1, that will be the second goal volume underscore TA. It will be selected in the scene. You can minimize that window and open up the properties. Then you lock the property window, create the path node. This is basically just all a repeat. When you're creating the path node, the position is basically exactly the same. You know, X needs to be 0, Y and Z doesn't really matter, but, you know, roughly in front of the goal. And then the rotation actually is going to be different this time. It needs to be negative 90 instead of 90. So it will be facing away from this goal instead. And then you can change the goal orientation to this new path node. And then, of course, you need to change the team number to 1 in order for it to be registered as the orange team's goal. And then, after doing that, all the goals should be set up. So you should be able to score goals on both teams now, which is great. And so the last thing we have to do is add boost pads. Now, in order to set up the boost pads, there's quite a few steps that ideally we would take. One of which includes actually installing some stuff that I told you you could install in the last episode, but I would really recommend installing for this process. The reason why is because the only Rocket League objects we have currently installed, if you just followed my first tutorial series and not the advice I gave you in the second one, you should only have like stuff from Beckwith Park, the park_p package, right? And in there are lots of cool assets, but it doesn't for some reason include the mesh for the small boost pads. You can still create a map with small boost pads, but they're grouped together in one big mesh, which is really weird, and it's hard for building any other map other than a standard Rocket League map. And even though I'm building a standard Rocket League map, I want you to be able to take any of the advice I'm showing you in these tutorials and use them for whatever map you're creating, right? So I really would advise you, for the sake of your map making career, to install the dummy assets, which will be linked in the description. And to install it, you just go to the GitHub page and click, download code, download zip, whatever, and install it. Just wait for it to install, and then you should have a zip folder. And then you need to go to, the UDK installation folder, and then you need to make sure you're selecting the project folder, which should have the same name as your project created in the first tutorial. And then you want to go to content, and in here you should see park_p already in there. You're going to want to go in the zip folder and drag in the dummy assets folder, right? Just this folder right here. You want to just drag it in there. Now, of course, I'm not going to do that because I already have the dummy assets installed, but this is how you would install it, right? So now that that's out of the way, you can close and reopen UDK. I believe you'll have to do that because there's a lot of assets in there, right? So the first thing we're going to do is add the big boost pads. Now, in order to add the big boost pads, we're going to want to open up the content browser, and we're want to switch to the actor classes tab and drag in the boost pickup _TA. And then with that, we're going to want to also add the boost pad _large mesh, which should be inside of the park_p package. To find it, you can just search boost underneath the park_p package. And then we're going to want to attach the boost pad _large _mic material instance to that boost pad mesh so that it will actually look like a boost pad. And then we are going to want to look for the boost effects actor, boost pill effects actor, which is basically the special effects that provides the little, orb that floats above it, and like all the orange stuff that, appears and then disappears when you collect it. That's the effects actor. So you want to add that in at roughly the same spot. And then you're going to want to select just the whole package here, and you're going to want to move them all to the same location. You can choose this location if you want to have, standard corner boost spawns, or you can choose a different location if you want to place the corner boost somewhere else. It's up to you. And then you're going to want to select the boost pickup, the vehicle pickup boost _TA. This is the actual asset that provides the boost pad functionality. In here, you're going to want to raise its location slightly, just above the ground, to z coordinate 72 to be exact. So if everything else is at z coordinate 0, then this is 72 units above that. And then in here, we've got quite a few settings we need to change. So if you're doing a big boost, then you want to make sure to copy what I'm doing exactly, basically. Boost amount, just set it to some really big number. 9999 is perfectly fine because it needs to fill up all of your boost meter, right? You want to change the boost type to, the pill, right? That's what it's called. And then you're going to change the respawn delay to 10 seconds. And then you're going to want to select the effects actor. In order to do that, you need to lock the properties window. Select the effects actor, make sure it's highlighted green, and then click the green arrow in the effects actor slot, just like so. This correlates the pickup actor with the effects actor. And unfortunately, when you copy and paste boost pads, you're going to need to redo this setting every single time, which is really annoying, but whatever. There's one last thing we need to do, which is the local pickup sound. You're going to want to go inside of park_p and look for boost pickup pill local. You're going to want to highlight that in the content browser, and you're going to want to click the green arrow just like that. So assign it properly. And then you're also going to want to make sure to go to the effects actors properties and make sure to check no delete. So search no delete and click the check mark. That will prevent it from deleting itself when you collect it and like deleting itself permanently. Then you're going to want to select all of the assets again, and you're going to want to hit Control-C, Control-V, and place them at some new set of coordinates. If you want to set them to all of the normal boost spawns for the big boost locations, you can set them to these coordinates on screen now. So you can pause if you want to make sure to place those at the exact coordinates, or we can just move on and you can place them wherever the hell you want. And then after setting all those coordinates, you're going to need to select all of the pickups individually, all of the car icon ones, and you're going to need to lock the property windows for each one and select the effects actor and click the green arrow in the properties window. You're going to need to do this for each one because, like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't remember for some reason. So after doing that, you've now set up all the big boost pads, and now it's time to set up all the small boost pads, the pennies, if you will. In order to set that up, you're going to need to basically start off the process just like the big boost pads. You're going to need to go to the actor classes, do the boost pickup _TA, the effects actor, which is boost pad _effects actor instead of boost pill. And then you're going to need to find the mesh. Now, the mesh is not going to be found inside of park _p because, like I mentioned earlier, they group them all together, as you can see here. It's really annoying. So instead, we're going to need to look inside the dummy assets that we installed earlier. To look in your dummy assets, you can see if you just scroll above right here, you can see all of the dummy assets right here, all of the various assets we have access to. And you're going to want to just select one of the maps, it doesn't matter which one, and you're going to need to right click that map. Make sure it's in, it's in one of the folders. You see all the maps here, right? You need to right click one of them and you need to click fully load. And I'm going to search for the boost pad _small archetype, the asset here. You can see it's listed right here. You can just search boost and search for it like I did, and then you're going to want to drag that in. Now, when you drag it in, you might be wondering, okay, I don't see a mesh. Where is the mesh? Well, that's because dummy assets are a lot closer to placeholders than to actual assets. You see, the way they work is the people who made dummy assets just gave the assets different names of actual assets in the game. And the game, when they see that these assets are contained within your map, are like, oh, I know this asset. Let me place it in the location you put it. So it's not actually the asset itself. It's just a placeholder. So that's why you don't see it when in the UDK editor. And because you don't see it, it's a little hard to work with, and you have to go into the scene view every time, but we'll deal with that later. Right now, we need to go into the properties of it and set its material just by searching for material and then finding the boost pad small MIC and dragging it in, or, clicking the plus and then clicking the green arrow like so. And then after doing that, if you want to select it again, because you will deselect this object and need to select it again, you're going to want to use the scene tab. In the scene tab, you'll find it as the latest static mesh actor, aka the one with the highest number. But of course, as we add more static meshes, you're not going to be able to keep track of the number that the pad is. So instead, if you want to differentiate between different static meshes or different objects in the scene view, you can give them tags. Just click the static mesh and change its tag by searching for tag and then changing it to whatever you want. So I'm going to change this one to pad just so I can find it right now. So there you go. We want to select the pad and the other 2 objects by hitting Control and selecting them. And then we're going to want to put them to the same location, just like we did with the other boost pads. If you're curious, here are the locations for all the remaining boost pads on the map. However, do not start copying and pasting these assets yet, as we're not done with them. You see, we still have to raise up the boost pad underscore TA and set all of its settings. So inside of the boost pickup underscore TA is what I meant. We're going to raise its Z coordinate up a little bit by 63, so 63 above everything else. And then you're going to want to set the boost amount to 0.12, so 12 boost, and then set the boost type to boost pad, not boost pill, and change the respawn delay to 4 seconds. And the effects actor you can set by locking the window, clicking the effects actor in the scene, and then clicking the green arrow. And then lastly, we have the local pickup sound. You're going to want to go to park underscore P, or you can go to any of the other maps. They will also have this sound effect, and you're going to want to search for the boost pickup sound, boost pad pickup sound local. It will be this asset right here, and select the green arrow to assign it in the properties window. So yeah, now that you've had all the settings set up, you're going to want to copy and paste it and put it to these locations. Here are the locations again, in case you don't want to rewind and go back. Once you're done placing them, again, just like the large boost pads, you're going to have to go back into all of the boost pickup underscore TAs and assign the effects actors in their properties, which is annoying, but you have to do it or else the effects won't work properly. So that will take a while. As you can see, here's a fast forwarding of me doing it all. And then once you're done, I'm gonna do a few things left before I'm going to, test it out in Rocket League, because I actually forgot a few things in the previous tutorials. So if you forgot them too, these are the things I forgot. I just forgot to put the physics material sticky walls on some of the meshes. So just select the meshes that you forgot and add them. You don't have to do it, but I forgot, so I'm doing it here. And then you're going to need to go to build all. So you build the entire map and all the lighting and all the everything, right? You have to do that before saving in order for everything to be saved. And then you're going to need to save current level. And then from there, you're going to need to open up the folder where your map is stored, which would be inside that same content folder that you accessed before, and then inside of the map folder. And then you're also going to need to open up a folder containing your mods folder, which is where your maps should be stored inside of the cooked PC console folder, which is inside of your Rocket League directory. And then just from the last tutorial, you should see labs utopia underscore p.upk in the mods folder. You're going to want to copy your tutorial file over to the mods folder, and then you're going to need to rename it to the labs utopia underscore p.upk, just like I do in the video. And then after doing all of that, you can now open up the labs utopia map inside of Rocket League. And when it opens, you should be presented with a fully functioning Rocket League map. You will spawn in the correct locations. You can pick up all the boost pads. If you're in free play and you want to test that out, you can disable unlimited boost in free play in settings. And you can score on both nets. So all the functionality is there to play a normal game of Rocket League. And, well, that's it for this entire tutorial series. That's right. I'm sorry it had to be cut short at 3 parts. And you might be wondering, but Code Red, there's so much stuff still left to do. Our map still looks horrible. What are we going to do about that? Well, the thing is, I've decided that I want to cut short this tutorial series simply because I am not an experienced enough map maker to continue giving advice on this sort of thing. This tutorial series was more of a getting started with map making tutorial series than anything, because there are not many resources online for getting started, and really that's the hardest part, is getting started, getting your foot in the door, and figuring out how you even get started making a map in the first place. And that's really what I've done here with this tutorial series. If you want to go further, there are other resources I can point you to that will be much more helpful than anything I could create, because again, I've only made 2 Rocket League maps in my lifetime, and both of them have honestly kind of sucked. I'm just a guy who decided it would be fun to do map making for a few months and then said, hey, why don't I make a tutorial series about this? There aren't many online. So if you want to go further than what I've shown in this tutorial series, then I would recommend checking out SimpleShark's tutorial series, which will be linked in the description and if possible in the info card in the top right. And this 15-part or more tutorial series will take you through a ton of stuff that I did not cover in this tutorial series about Rocket League map making. Speaking of stuff I didn't cover, the first part of my tutorial series, where I taught you how to install UDK and all of the files around it, is now quite out of date. You see, right after I released that video, Mr. Swaggles, the guy who created the Rocket League map making guide that this tutorial series is loosely based on, created the UDK RL Setup installer that basically installs UDK and all of the files I taught you to install in that first video automatically, as well as plenty of files that I forgot to tell you to install in that first video, and other stuff as well, because they're constantly updating this UDK RL Setup with new stuff. For instance, recently they added templates, which are basically map templates that you can use to get started on making a standard Rocket League map, which, you know, is pretty cool considering this entire tutorial series was basically me just making a standard Rocket League map template, which you can now get for free by using the UDK RL setup. Why am I telling you this? Well, if you followed my outdated first part, then your UDK is probably out of date and you might have some issues in the future working in the Rocket League map making community. And luckily, UDK RL Setup is smart enough to realize that some of the files you've installed already, and it will only install the necessary ones for you. So you probably just want to run that anyway, just to be safe. So anyway, that's it. If you enjoyed this series, please leave a like and maybe hit subscribe. I'm not going to be making any more of these map making videos, but I will be continuing to do other technical Rocket League stuff, like I do Rocket League bots and Rocket League modding related stuff in general quite often on this channel. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, hit subscribe. And of course, check out SimpleShark's tutorial series if you want to go further with your map making journey, and join the Rocket League map making Discord server, link in the description. You can ask questions there if you're confused with any of the stuff in this video, or you can leave it in the comments and I'll do my best. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!